Hey y'all, welcome back. All right, we are finally going to conclude the Brianna Williams story situation, and then we're gonna move on to some other things because I got some really exciting things planned, y'all. Oh my gosh. Hold on. Hold on. Your girl, I got so excited I didn't even set up all the way. Hmm. Now y'all can see me. We just gonna pretend that that didn't happen. We're gonna pretend that that didn't happen for sure. Hey y'all, welcome back. Let's get into it. Um, I don't even want to give y'all too much context. We just gonna get into the reaction because honestly, the way that this story has so far has ended, I'm not 110% happy with it, but we're here. We are here.
Just said that you have bigger charges of
is on the other side of fear.
just said that you have bigger charges of smashing somebody's window out. But this is all you do is lie to get like people to follow you on social media. It's sad. I don't need a following because I have a real life and I have people who actually love me.
Welcome back to Between
Yikes.
Two Worlds with Yanni. Here we dive into shadow stories, the mirrors of our hidden fears and beliefs. By facing them, we learn we can rewrite the story and choose a new ending for ourselves. Some stories don't end when the internet thinks they do. They pause, they circle back, and they reveal more than we were ready to see. If you've been with me for a while, then you remember Brianna Williams, the young woman who went viral after showing the world the black eye her boyfriend gave her. Back then, her video shook people because it wasn't just a bruise, it was a breaking point, a moment where her voice finally rose above the pain she's been carrying in silence. And when we talk about her story on this channel the first time, it felt like that was supposed to be the turning point, the moment she chose herself, the moment everything shifted. But life doesn't always move in straight lines. Trauma doesn't always let go when it should. And sometimes the shadow you think you walked away from is the same one waiting for you on the next corner. Because now the same man she exposed for abusing her, the same relationship the world watched crumble, she was seen right back beside him. And that's the part nobody talks about. The part that makes healing look messy. The part that makes just leave sound shallow. The part that shows how easy it is to judge someone else's darkness when you're still most likely struggling with your own. So today, we're not just revisiting her story. We're looking at where she was then, where she is now, and the shadows in between. The childhood wounds she never escaped, the emotional loops that keep choosing her, and the lesson tucked inside a cycle that keeps replaying itself louder, harder, and more publicly each time. This isn't about blame. This isn't about gossip. This is about the quiet truth behind the choices we make. When the pain feels familiar and the chaos feels like home. Let's take a deep dive between two worlds.
Your entire life can change in the blink of an eye. 1 minute, I am creating content with someone who I thought I could spend my life with, and the next minute, I'm cleaning up the destruction that their hands left. I finally came back to my apartment, and my goals this week are to be kind to myself and to stay out of bed. I'm spending time with my son, and I went and bought myself flowers. But in all of this, I realized that healing is not linear, that everything happens for us, not to us. There has to be something at the end of this tunnel, and I'm just waiting to see that light. But until then, being awake is enough. Being here is enough, and I'm thankful for that.
The truth is, people don't just wake up one day and fall into a cycle like this. You don't just end up back beside the person who hurt you without a long road behind you that taught you pain before it ever taught you safety. There's always a beginning, a first wound, a first betrayal, a first moment when the world showed you that love doesn't always come wrapped in gentleness. And let me be clear, compassion does not erase accountability. We can understand how someone got here without excusing the harm they've caused to themselves or anyone around around them. Both truths can exist at the same time. So before we judge where Brianna is now, we have to look at how she got here, because these patterns didn't start with Rowan or the man before him or the black eye that went viral. They started long before adulthood, before relationships, before the internet ever knew her name. They started in a house that looked fine from the outside, but didn't teach her the foundation she needed on the inside. A home where people showed up physically, but didn't always show up emotionally. A place that gave her moments of joy, but no real sense of stability. And that's where her story really begins, with the childhood that shaped her, the family dynamics that cracked her self-worth, and the lessons she never got the chance to learn before life pushed her into the spotlight.
One thing that I've had.
And y'all, I just want to say to please keep in mind, what is the dynamic that I'm currently in before I bring a child into this world? Because we get caught up and we have relations unprotected because it's better when it's unprotected, and we don't want to use the protection or whatever. We don't think it's gonna be us that's gonna have that baby, and then we find out it is us that's gonna have that baby. And I'm not here to sit here and bash or talk down on anybody that has a baby out of wedlock or unplanned or anything like that. That's not the point. The point is, if you knew better, you do better, right? If you watching this video will show you just how the way you live affects your child. The way that the family lives affects the child. Whether the child decides, I never want to be this person a day in my life, or they decide, I want to be, my parents turned out okay. What's the harm in me doing things the way that they did them? We look up to certain people and we don't think about the fact that they might not have done it right. There's no manual to life. And you don't know until you know if you're doing things wrong or if you're doing them right. Just be conscious of the fact that children are impressionable. Children are impressionable. Young adults are impressionable, especially when somebody looks up to you. So give your child something to look up to. Choose a partner, choose a father to your children or a mother to your children that you want your child to exhibit those values in the real world someday. If there's something about your partner that just it don't sit right in your spirit and they don't operate in a way that you want your kid to operate one day, possibly, you have to kick them to the curb, even if you love them, because your kids deserve better. Your kids always deserve better than what you went through, even if you had the best life ever. You always should want your children to have more and better than what you have.
I have to teach myself is really important in my life is to stop trying to prove myself. Why do I always try to prove myself to everyone around me? I try to prove my value and my self-worth and how much I can bring to the table. I realize that I'm always doing that because I have not accepted deep down on a subconscious level that I deserve love just for existing. I deserve attention. I deserve encouragement. I deserve friendships. I deserve good relationships. I don't have to earn these things. I don't have to earn them from people, from men, from friendships, whatever. From parents. I don't have to earn these things. I deserve these things.
And you have to have these things within yourself. Before you choose to date, make sure you love who you are. With your good, your bad, your ugly, your scars, the parts of yourself that you're not necessarily fond of, whatever your weight is, make sure that deep down you love you. Because when you love you, the people in your life, they also have to love you, or you're not going to keep them around for long. Make sure you do work on yourself before you put yourself in a position to kind of give yourself away to somebody else. Because if you don't love you, nobody else is going to love you better than you love yourself.
And I'm not going to let another woman go through her life feeling like I did, whereas I feel like I had to prove myself just to get my basic needs met, because that, unfortunately, is how women end up in domestic violence situations. When speaking on my situation, I did let you all know that the lack of support is one of the reasons I feel like I ended up there. And again, that just goes back to not believing that you are worthy of love just for existing.
Brianna's story doesn't start with a relationship, it starts with a feeling, one she's been open about since the beginning, that she never truly felt supported by her family. Not the kind of support that makes you feel grounded, held, or understood, but the kind that makes you feel like you belong somewhere. She didn't grow up with that. Her home might have had its good moments, birthdays, laughter, little flashes of joy that made things look fine from the outside, but inside the walls, the emotional foundation wasn't steady. Brianna grew up in a family where everyone felt like they were in their own corner, fighting their own battles, showing up physically but not always emotionally. Arguments didn't get resolved, feelings didn't get acknowledged, and the support she needed never came consistently. Even as a child, it seemed like she had to earn validation, earn attention, earn comfort, as if emotional support was something you had to qualify for, not something you deserved simply by being a child. And when you spend your childhood feeling like love is conditional, you grow into an adult who mistakes instability for normacy. You gravitate towards people who mirror the patterns you grew up around: conflict, inconsistency, emotional distance, because that's what your nervous system learned early. You don't crave safety, you crave familiarity. And whatever feels familiar starts to feel like home, even when it hurts you.
Did she experience violence in the home as a child?
I'm not going to talk on that because I have a wonderful relationship with my ex-partner. I have a wonderful relationship. We have a great family together, even though we're no longer together. We have a wonderful best friend type relationship. Everything in the past is the past. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you that they have experienced things that maybe they've carried on to certain generations. But we have worked on that. We've gone to counseling. Me and my ex-husband, we went to counseling for 2 years before we divorced. And any of the kids I felt was affected, guess what? I got a counselor for them too. My daughter is with her boyfriend. I went and got them a counselor. I believe in therapy. Even when Brianna, she went and got help. I believe in medication. Yes, 100%. I understand that some of the things that she's going through is because of the mental situation. And that's why I support it. I support her. I'm not blaming, oh, you deserve to be beat up because you're mental. That's nothing to do with it. We're supporting and saying, hey, we want you to get the help you need. We love you. And maybe getting the help you need will stop you from these patterns and things that are going on. Because it's not just the boyfriends. It's when you get upset with somebody, including your exes, everybody, and you lash out and seek revenge. That's the painful part that we experience.
This is where her story really begins, with a young girl who never felt fully chosen, never felt poured into, never felt like she had a stable emotional foundation. A girl who grew up learning to take care of herself, but never learned how to be cared for. A girl who learned to survive, but never learned what it felt like to feel safe. And when you grow up without that kind of support, you spend your adult life searching for the love you never received, often in people who cannot give it, often in situations that repeat the very wounds you're trying to escape. Her childhood didn't just shape her, it set the tone for every connection that came after. It planted the shadows she would spend years unconsciously repeating right up until her life spilled into the public eye.
We love our kids. We do not support domestic violence. We have had that in our generation. And so we're trying to break that cycle. We're doing counseling. We're doing therapy. Brianna is doing counseling and therapy. We're trying to work through these issues, but let's stop bringing the people who are doing the violence repeatedly back in our lives. And it wasn't just that this guy just broke in at the last minute to this hotel. Afterwards she got back home. They spent time together, okay? Mm-hmm. It happened before she left. It happened after. You know what I'm saying? So we spent time together and calls together and romantic stuff together. So it wasn't just a one, and I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to make anybody look bad, but it wasn't just and I don't care to defend this man. I'm just saying the way it's looking like he just broke in and started beating it, it didn't happen like that.
When you grow up never feeling truly supported, you don't just carry that into adulthood. You end up choosing people who echo the same wounds you were raised around. For Brianna, every relationship has been a mirror, not one of who she wants to be, but the parts of her that never healed. She didn't fall for partners because they were good for her. She fell into dynamics that match the emotional rhythm she was taught as a child. The inconsistency, the arguing, the emotional distance, the feeling that love is something you must prove yourself worthy of. And then there were the reflections she saw in her mother and sisters, women who battled their own storms, women who were never poured into the way they needed, women who showed her directly or indirectly that love often comes with struggle, silence, or sacrifice. So as she grew older, her relationships became continuations of the emotional lessons she learned at home. She wasn't choosing bad men, she was choosing the blueprint she was handed. Because if you grow up believing instability is normal, you mistaken intensity for connection and chaos for chemistry. That's why returning to the same man she once cried about publicly wasn't shocking. Her heart wants softness, but her wounds still recognize what hurts. Until she rebuilds her sense of worth and safety from the inside out, she'll keep walking into the same story with different faces, but the same ending.
My daughters are tired. They sat there at Brianna's house for weeks watching every day, all day, fighting and biting and hitting and kicking. And from what they say, it wasn't him doing it. And I just don't want that stuff being done with these kids around. I want to protect that. I want to show that we are on her team. We love her. I told Brianna after, how are you doing? How are you doing? You are purposely allowing me to be talked about as if I'm not on your team. And you know, all this time I said, get rid of this dude. I have been talking about getting rid of this dude forever, and the dude before him and the dude before him. They're all trash and garbage from what I've seen. Now, Marlon, he's a good dad. But they're all garbage. And Brianna, come on, man. You know how some people just have a picker. You know, they have a picker. It's not going to be the best people they pick. But when they disrespect your family constantly, they talk crazy to you in front of your family. They talk crazy to your mom, your dad, your sisters and brothers. At some point, you don't even say nothing. So we say something, and then guess what happens? When we say something, get out of our lives. Y'all are against us.
And like I probably asked when I made the response to that interview that PJ did with the mom, but what did she see growing up? Just because you tell somebody not to do something, if they're seeing you do something, like if I bite my nails, just something simple, I bite my nails. But as I'm biting my nails, I tell you don't be a nail biter. And I'm your parent. Are you listening? Why is it okay for me to do it and not okay for you to do it? Like, be careful of what your kids see you do, not of the perception that you want them to have of you. Like, wanting to be perceived a certain way, that's beautiful. As a parent, it's certain things that you should want your child to see of you. And there's probably parts of yourself that you don't necessarily find desirable. You don't really want your kid to repeat them, so you don't do them. Right? Right message, wrong messenger. I don't know what's gone on with the mom in the past, but based off the response of, I'm not going to answer if she's seen abuse in the home, tells me she has. And it's just, this is why I made the point that I made in the beginning. Be careful of what your children see. Be careful of who you choose to have children with. Because there can be, as we see in this story, residual effects throughout the child's entire life. I mean, she just said the man before this and the man before that and the man. So this is a cycle. This is a pattern with her. She actively chooses men that are no good for her. Why? We got to get to the root of why. And what has she seen that confirmed that this is okay in her?
So I've learned as a mother, I used to go off on these niggas, you're this, you're that. Get out of my daughter's life. I'm fighting, I'm punching people. Y'all, you guys don't even know who I am. But then guess what happens? Every single time I have 4 daughters, guess what happens? Mom, get out of our lives. You don't let us live our lives. And then I don't talk to my daughters for 6 months. Or they don't talk to me, rather.
And notice how she said daughters. So it's not just Brianna that does this. At least one or more of her kids do this. Why? Why were all these kids that grew up in the same household repeating the same generational curse, repeating the same cycle? Why? They must have seen it somewhere in the home. It must have been acceptable to them at some point.
So now I've decided, you know what? I'm going to let them live their life and do what they want to do, because when I try to get involved, they get upset. They turn on me. So, okay, now do what you do, but I'm going to give you advice as a mother. I'm going to tell you, this dude is going to get my piece of my mind. I'm going to tell my sons they're going to give him a piece of their mind. But at the end of the day, if you keep bringing him back around, and we're telling you stop bringing him around, and then, oh, well, I ain't coming if he can't come. Okay, well, what are we supposed to do? We supposed to fight him and then lose you too, and then lose the grandkids and not see them?
Mm-hmm.
So I sit back and I say, you know what? Okay, girls, I got 4 daughters. Okay, pick your men if that's what you do. But you know what we go through. You know what my mother went through. You know what I went through. You saw it. So if you want to pick dudes like that, know the results. I'm going to be there for you to dry your tears.
By the time Rowan came into her life, Brianna wasn't confused about her patterns. She wasn't blindsided. She wasn't in the dark. She knew exactly what she was walking into. That's the hardest part about her story. She's aware. She knows the generational patterns she's repeating. She knows the type of energy she attracts. She knows the danger, and she knows the cost. Yet she chooses it anyway. Not because she wants pain, but because she hasn't learned how to exist outside of it. Some people run from chaos. Brianna has spent her life adapting to it. It's what she was raised in. It's what she witnessed and absorbed long before she could name it. But awareness alone doesn't break a cycle. Choosing differently does. And that's where the accountability comes in. Brianna isn't a child anymore. She's not blindly repeating what she saw. She's consciously participating in a pattern she openly acknowledges, while raising a daughter who is silently watching her every move. And that's what makes this chapter with Rowan hit differently. She knew better. She saw the warning signs. She recognized the generational echo and still stepped into the same cycle. The volatility between them wasn't surprising to her. She felt the shift. She sensed the danger. She even spoke publicly about the abuse before. But the pull was stronger than the lesson. The chaos was louder than her intuition, and the pattern felt more familiar than choosing something healthier. So when things exploded publicly between them, it wasn't fate punishing her. It was the universe forcing a moment of honesty she refused to create for herself. The time the cycle didn't stay behind closed doors. It didn't stay in the dark. It didn't stay silent. It became public because she wouldn't walk away privately. And that's the accountability too. It's not that she didn't know, it's that she didn't choose differently. And the choices has consequences for her growth, and for the daughter watching how she defines love. Rowan didn't expose anything she wasn't already aware of. What he exposed was the reality that awareness means nothing if your choices don't change with it. Sometimes the most painful relationships aren't the ones we don't understand. They're the ones we understand completely but stay in anyway.
Do what I do. The whole time we in Europe, y'all want to talk, y'all want to FaceTime, y'all want to, I miss you, I love you, y'all want to do that? Okay. But I know.
That was after he whooped her in, I say whooped her. They had an altercation before the Europe trip, and then she was on the phone with him.
Yes.
Throughout the whole trip.
Yes. There was a beginning before the trip, fight, after the trip, fight, hanging out in the between, all the stuff. So it wasn't just as it was put out there, but it is wrong that he hit her. It is wrong when she hits him. It's wrong all the way around, because the kids they're learning from all of us.
By the time everything spilled onto the internet, Brianna wasn't just battling a relationship, she was battling herself. Her choices were no longer just emotional. They had started shaping her real life, her stability, her role as a mother. And this is where her story turns from messy into something painfully real, because losing access to your children, even partially, isn't a small consequence. It forces a different kind of reflection, a kind that no longer lets you hide behind survival mode, excuses, or old wounds.
Can I go through your archives? I can't go through your archives.
Number one. Number two, you said they're saying you lost full custody of your kids. I can go get the paperwork right now and show I have joint custody.
You lost custody of your kids. You just said that.
See, this is exactly why I tell y'all, do not put your active situations online. Because this is the type of back and forth that you will have with people. Because they get invested and they feel personal connection to what you're doing, and they either agree or they disagree with what you're doing. And if they don't completely agree with what you're doing, or your actions infuriate them to an extent, now you're in this type of position where you're on live arguing about a life that only you have lived, that's nobody else's business to speak on. What business is it if she doesn't have her kids to us? What business is, like, all these things that she said throughout the story? It wouldn't be our business if she didn't post it, but she did. So now she's got this. And when I was looking at my phone a moment ago, I was looking at her TikTok because I wanted to see, are there any updates with her and Rowan, all that stuff. And she's deleted the entire TikTok story time about what happened. It's all gone. But it's not gone because it's been stitched and people have made videos, including me, about it. So even though she's removed it from the internet, it'll never be completely off the internet. And this is why you cannot post situations that you're actively in online. This is the type of response that eventually you're probably going to get. And now you have to deal with that.
That you have bigger charges of smashing somebody's window out.
Hold on.
This is all you do is lie to get like people to follow you on social media. It's sad. I don't need a following because I have a real life and I have people who actually love me in real life. I don't have baby daddies. I don't have stuff like that, men beating on me and me busting men's windows out of their home.
And this girl is dead ass wrong, because it don't matter whether you do or you don't have. It don't matter whether what you're saying is true or not. You're being, like, one, judgmental. Two, you're comparing this woman's life to yours. Three, you're trying to prove a point that your life is better for what? Like, it's clear she came to us at a vulnerable time, but there's really no reason to start throwing low blows like this. And why do y'all, I just would love to understand, why do y'all get so emotionally connected to these TikTok stories and all this stuff that's not. If you cannot get online and just be thoroughly entertained without feeling the need to go back and forth with the person that's supposedly entertaining you, like, what are you doing? Why do we have such an issue with just, like, I'm not saying you can't say how you feel, but why you gotta low blow this girl like that? Like, for real. I don't see the use in this. I don't see where this is supposed to get her. And be careful of what you say. It'll never be me about. Because she told, I don't got baby daddies. I have people that love me. I have this, I have that. So if you have a baby and then y'all don't work out, you won't be able to say that anymore. Be careful of what comes out of your mouth, because she's cursing herself. She's putting herself in a position where now she could have a baby and lose whoever it is that she has that baby by. She could reach a point in her life where she loses the people that love her. I'm not going to wish that on her or anybody else. I don't get down like that. But the point is, watch what you say. Watch what you say. It'll never be me. Because turn around and it would be you.
Girl, you went to this man's home with a surfboard.
Oh, hold on, wait. Let's address this one by one.
And then you also
wait, you're still talking.
Medication,
because you know the truth. You said I'm telling lies. Let me flip the motherfucking camera. Let's come up with a receipt. Here is the court. child, date of birth, joint custody.
When is that dated?
This is for Marlon. The other one for Evelyn is sitting right over there in my room. So what? So now what?
When is that
now
dated?
You have joint custody of my.
You had joint custody first.
Clock it receipt. Clock it
When
receipt.
is the date?
Clock it a receipt.
What is the date?
Okay, hold on. Let me give you the date. Hold on. Let me give you the date. Hold on. Let me give you the date.
Custody,
let me give you the date. Hold on. Let me give you the date. Let me give you the date. Let me give you the date. May 9th, 2025. May 9th, 2025.
Brianna,
May 9th, 2025. So who doesn't have custody of their kids? May 9th, 2025. Joint custody. So Brianna, now what do you have to say about that?
Okay, let's go on to you saying you've never been on medication.
No, go back. What do you have to say about that?
It's none of my business.
There you go. It's none of your
motherfucking Yikes. See? And then it was so, boom, you made a point and it disproved what I got to say. Now let me move on to the next point that proves what I got to say. Instead of speaking on the fact that, like, yeah, you're right, I am wrong. I don't know your life better than you know your life. Oh, it ain't none of my business. And like she said, this is none of your business. Why are you so emotionally involved? I'm not going to sit here and say don't watch it. I'm not going to say don't comment on it. Go ahead and comment. Go ahead and watch it. That's the point of the video even being created to begin with. So creators need to understand that when you create a video, you're going to get a response. Sometimes you're going to agree with that response. Sometimes you're not. If you don't agree with it, keep it pushing. If you can't keep it pushing, delete the comment, whatever the case may be. But just understand when you put stuff out there, people are going to comment on it and not everyone's going to agree with your standpoint. Cool. But Brianna's right and the other girl has a point. It's none of her damn business. Okay, she realizes that. So why are you so invested? And then to the flip, none of this is any of our business and you put it on the internet. So this is what you asked for, was this type of back and forth with somebody eventually, because not everyone's going to agree with everything you do, especially when you put it on the internet. Be careful about these story times that y'all be sharing and how emotionally connected you are to them. That's why I say in the middle of a situation is not the time to post about it. If you want to post about it, give it some time. Get clarity. Maybe even go to therapy. And then if you want to tell your story, I would do it like that. So that way, at least you are not so emotionally invested to where these girls are at each other. The one girl, get her out of here. I don't know why she's so damn invested in it. But Brianna, you put yourself in this position to have to explain yourself and argue with people and do all this other stuff. Careful, y'all. Like the entire intention of a lot of these videos that I make is to just show you how to make your life just a little bit easier. Just a little bit. Life is already hard enough. Would never want to go back and forth with somebody about me being abused. Whether I've been abusive in the past or not, I would never want to get online and have to argue that I was abused, that the validity of my story is really what it is. I don't want to deal with that. And I can imagine when you're going through something like that, most people wouldn't want to sit here and have to deal with this. It's not fair, it's not right. But life isn't fair. And when you put yourself in certain positions, unfortunately, you got to deal with the consequences of such. So just understand this. This is not worth it.
Why do you lie?
In the first place.
Why do you lie?
What
you
am I
You've never been on medication for a mental illness. Why you say that? You have.
What mental illness do I take medication for?
You tell us, because you the one that posted on your stories at CVS picking up my depression medicine. What? I don't know the name of it.
Depression medicine. Yes, you just said it.
That's a mental illness.
Is postpartum depression a mental illness?
Girl, that was.
Yes, postpartum depression is a mental illness. And here we go with yet another reason why you don't post certain things on the internet, because not everybody is for you. I would not ever want somebody throwing my mental illness back in my face. Now I understand that my mental illness is a mental illness. So I don't got no problem telling y'all that I got bipolar disorder. At the end of the day, that's just something that I deal with. And it's not something you can't insult me with that. I've had it for almost 10 years now. You're not going to break my heart by telling me that I am something that I know that I am. You're not going to tell me that I have not done something that I know that I have. Okay, and I'm still doing what the hell it is that I need to do despite that. So, next. But here's the issue. If you don't want your mental health to be used against you, don't post about it. If you are not prepared to deal with somebody talking about your mental illness, don't post about it. Don't tell people. Keep people out your business because people will get all up in it when they get the opportunity to do so.
That was not postpartum depression. Your kids were like the same age they were. This was just last year.
Girl,
and that was 2 years ago.
Explain the video of you busting Marlon's video. Explain the video of you busting Marlon's home windows out.
If you would have joined last night, you would have heard it.
But you just said he was the most gentle person ever. So why?
Yes, I busted Marlon's windows, and I did a plethora of more. But that doesn't take away from.
But you just said he was the most gentle person.
He is.
But why you bust his windows out?
So we got his windows busted out.
Why?
Because I wanted to.
Because you didn't. Because he don't want to be with you. Because he knows that you are literally crazy. I think it's fair for you to tell the truth on your stories instead of lying to people just for people to follow you. You need to tell the truth.
You literally just got embarrassed. You just
tell the real truth tell the real truth while your mom and sisters don't mess with you. Tell the real fucking truth.
I was just in Mykonos with my mother. I was literally just in Europe.
I don't write blogs.
So I don't know why she doesn't mess with me. I was just in Europe with her. I was just in Europe with my mom.
Oh, girl, is really judgmental.
Why was he talking to you now?
Because of
lies. Because you lie.
Why are you so mad? Why are you so mad?
Don't talk to you because you lie.
All right, girl. All right.
Okay.
Well, everything you just said, you just got caught up.
We're all praying for you. No, we're all praying for you.
Don't bring God into it.
I don't need
that.
to have paperwork. Like, those aren't my kids that I lost custody of. Those are yours.
Bye.
Everybody can see your charges.
Brianna didn't walk into this blind. She was aware of her patterns. She was aware she was repeating the same generational cycles she watched the women before her fall into. She grew up around a family that handled pain physically, moving on, moving forward, staying busy, never handling anything emotionally. Everything was pushed aside, swept under the rug, ignored until it exploded in the next generation. So she learned early, you don't talk about the hurt, you just endure it. You don't heal the wound, you just adapt to it. You don't address the cycle, you just keep living inside of it. And that's exactly what she did. So when her relationship with Rowan spiraled, when violence and chaos blurred the lines between love and survival, she knew exactly what was happening, not because it was new, but because it was familiar. She saw herself repeating what she watched in her maternal figures, staying silent, pushing through, choosing partners who amplified the pain, and convincing herself she could handle it. But accountability matters here. So when the consequences finally hit, when custody shifted, when people judged her stability, when life forced her to face the version of herself she kept avoiding, it wasn't punishment. It was the natural outcome of repeatedly choosing what she already knew was harmful. Her emotional collapse, her public unraveling, her distance from her children, none of it came out of nowhere. It came from years of not dealing with what hurt her, years of pushing everything aside the way she was taught, years of repeating cycles she hoped she could outrun without actually facing it.
A lot of you are asking how I even got in this situation, and that is something that I've actually been.
All right, hold on, y'all. I'll be right back. You girls got to use the potty.
trying to navigate myself. My healing journey has come with a caveat of self-reflection and also accountability, and I have sat there and thought about what would have, other than the obvious, brought me to this point. I think the obvious is a fucked up family dynamic, whereas there is a lack of support that I have felt, especially engaging with, I feel like, the feminine energies in my house, and I'll actually leave that part there. Also just poor decision making. I was also coming out of a long-term relationship, a 5-year relationship on and off with my son's dad, where the romance had completely sizzled out, and I felt like I was not being treated like a woman anymore. I felt like I was just a mom, and he didn't want to take me on dates anymore or trips anymore, and I didn't feel sexy anymore, and I was just full-time mom mode. And when I met Ronan, he brought that out of me, just transparently. I felt super sexy, super fun. I had never been out to clubs and stuff. Of course, in my earlier 20s, I'm 31 now, I started dressing different. I started really expressing myself creatively through fashion and through perception, and it made me feel very free. So I met someone who was a catalyst to my being able to freely create and show the world my life through my lens. And I felt very safe and protected in that dynamic. I felt early on, I felt like I could just do anything, and so I did. I blossomed, I think.
This is where her story reaches its breaking point, the moment where the world sees the fallout and she finally sees the root. Because sometimes the lowest moment isn't meant to destroy you. Sometimes it's meant to strip away the illusions, the patterns, the generational scripts you've outgrown but never confronted. This isn't the end of her story. It's the part where she has to decide whether she rises or repeats it again with even higher stakes. And with children watching, the choice carries more weight than ever. Brianna's story is a reminder of what happens when you're caught between two worlds, the world you come from and the world you're trying to build. The pull between past and future, wounds and healing, chaos and clarity. That duality lives in all of us. And when those two worlds collide, the conflict isn't just external, it's internal. This shadow story isn't just about what she's facing, it's about the split inside her, the version of herself she's outgrown and the version she hasn't stepped into yet. And that's the thing about duality. One world will always win. The question is, which one are you feeding? Because at some point, every one of us has to choose. Do we keep repeating the world that broke us, or do we finally step into the one we were meant to create?
This is my opinion. I'm free to state my opinion anytime I like, right?
Period. Period, Yanni. Another great video. Yeah, I basically chose this story because it's a prime example of the cycles that go along with being in an abusive situation. I want the women out there that are in abusive situations to understand it's not you. You're not alone. You're not the only person that feels this way. The internet will have you thinking, like, girl, just get up. Stand up. Wipe your knees off, stand up. Leave that man alone. Da 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 da. They'll tell you to leave, but they don't tell you how to leave. And that's what we need to start talking about. How do I do so? What do I need to understand about myself and this person and this dynamic that's going to make me say, I don't ever want to be in this situation again. I don't want to deal with it now. I don't want to deal with it later. And this is the work that I'm going to do to make sure that I don't ever repeat this cycle again. Okay. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I hope that y'all enjoyed. And we have some other things that we're going to get into very, very shortly. Like, I'm about to stop this stream and then I don't know if I'm going to go offline with the video. I think the next one that I'm going to do, I'm going to go live with it. And then, I don't know yet, y'all. I'm figuring it out. But just stay tuned. Stay tuned. Thank y'all. Bye.